back at the V8 Supercar 1000, and an extraordinary situation yet again. New race leader Mark Scaife has taken over from Greg Murphy, and the reason is you can see the windscreen wipers working there. Doesn't look so bad on top of the mountain, but as they went down Conrod Straight the previous time, there was quite substantial rain, and it swept across the main straight as well. You can see, looking at that sky, that the clouds are broken, but there are very dark clouds surrounding the Mount Panorama area. Now, a lot of the cars have pitted, but these two lead cars did not. The TWR cars at the front of the field, and that's when Scaife took Murphy. Let's have another look. This, as you can see, is on the main straight, and Murphy was still at that stage in the lead. Scaife made the move as they headed up towards the mountain. Now, behind them, all the other cars on the lead lap just about had pitted, including some of the leading Fords. You can see the steam coming off the circuit there as the sun that has been shining frequently throughout the day has left a lot of heat in this track. So we're getting all kinds of weather. There was even reports of snow. Back to the pits.
Here we go, back to live pictures.
Bargwanna and Tander, they have come in for some wet weather tyres. Ritter also. It's now starting to hail a little bit more down here, but it's so intermittent, the rain. Some of the crews are talking about staying out there on slicks to see whether the weather will go away. But one of the issues they're facing is on this dark track, because it's a new surface, it's darker. You can't see the damp patches, and it's catching out some of the drivers. Last year when it was a lighter grey, you could see them, but now they're running into trouble when they don't see these dark patches around the top of the mountain especially.
Well, interesting situation. It's very minute hail that's falling in pit lane, and you can see the way the steam is rising off the hot track surface down here at the moment. This is a gamble for the teams, whether to bring the guys in or whether to leave them out. Oscar Fiorinato from Gibson Motorsport was on the radio to Craig Lowndes. A very late call. They said, stay out there, don't come in. The reason for that, Craig has consistently been the fastest driver on the circuit over the last few laps. They want to stay in touch with the lead group.
Well, there they are. There's the Gibson Motorsport Ford just coming into shot, so it's in third place now. It was probably a good call to stay out on the track when some of the other guys came in for wet weather tyres. The track conditions, I mean, you've got 6.2 kilometres of bitumen here. Some bits are wet, some are dry. Very, very hard call.
I definitely would have said that to stay out on slicks because it's so windy outside here.
That was a...
But not wet enough yet, anywhere near wet enough yet, so slick. And as I said, on the other side of this is blue sky.
Yeah, that's the saying. It's sprinkling everywhere.
Thank you.
It's not wet enough to put wets on, you know. That's what I was saying, that it's so much wind here. And if you look at the sky, there's really big blue patches. So I think, Bargs, they stuck on your car wet tyres. So what do you reckon?
Well, it is a big call. I mean, you arrive at the top of the mountain and you, this water hits the windscreen. You think, oh, here we go, this could be ugly. But obviously, not being out there, I'm not sure what the track's like up at the top of the mountain. But looking at that, it looks quite dry. Slicks would be all right there, but down the bottom here where the hail is, it's very ugly.
Brad Jones down the inside of Thomas Mazera. That puts the Aussie Male Ford up into fourth position. So the order at the moment is Scaife, Murphy, Lowndes, Jones up to fourth. Mazera goes back to fifth. Then it's Ingle. Gee, that little sprinkle of rain just really mixed things up now. And it's been a brilliant jump up the grid now for both those teams, the Gibson Motorsport car and the Aussie Male car. They've taken advantage of that situation, staying out when a lot of others went in for wets, and that's moved them right up the order.
Well, I think Russell Ingle is in fact just a little further up the road in front of these guys, so Jones has in fact moved into fifth position, Mazera further behind him, and what an outstanding drive by the Aussie Male Falcon. Brad Jones putting that frustration into constructive, positive work out on the circuit.
Now we hear there's some moderately heavy showers moving in from the southeast, so we could be in for some more rain. This is very, very dicey stuff, Jason Bargwanna. Very tough for the team managers to make a call on what they do.
This is perfect. This is exactly what we ordered. It worked for us last year, so we asked for it to happen again. So it is a tough call. It's very hard to make decisions. HRT tend to be a little bit more organised than everyone else in terms of their computers and so forth. They've got internet access and they know where the weather is and all that sort of thing. And following them is probably not a bad idea at the moment.
Thank you very much for your emails, courtesy of the website www.rpmlive.tv. We've got some more for you, Jason Bargwanna. What's the best thing you like about racing at Bathurst? And that's from John and Catherine Messam of Currans Hill, New South Wales.
Well, it's pretty easy, actually. Anywhere from the start line to the finish line is pretty good, especially around this place. I mean, across the top of the mountain, driving a V8 Supercar across the top of the mountain is just an amazing thing. The atmosphere, the crowd, the people, the whole event itself, it's just, there's nothing like it.
Paul Rules of Auckland in Victoria, do you double clutch or not?
Double clutch? No, we tend to not use the clutch at all, actually. On up changes, on down changes you use it, but
look at
we
this.
don't use much clutch.
Just while you're talking, Jace, look at the amount of ground that Craig Lowndes has made up on this leading Commodores.
This is an extraordinary effort, isn't it?
Closed right out on the back of them. It was a good call. A last-minute switch of tactics. Down the inside goes Craig Lowndes. Greg Murphy gives him room, and Lowndes goes up to second place.
Those guys were as far back as something like 15th or 16th at one stage. Crompton did a great job in the second stint for the team, and Lowndes is on a forward surge. Let's not forget, it's his first mountain experience for the Blue Oval.
Just come into the Holden Racing team just a few moments ago. They don't have the internet system up on a localised basis at the moment. They've only got a statewide map. So as a consequence, the boys down here have been ringing places like Orange Airport trying to get the latest information. Craig Lowndes' crew, meantime, Alan Heafy has spoken to him. They say that Craig is their best weather guide at the moment, and they're saying it's his call.
Well, can you believe that? Just while you were talking, Rusty, Craig Lowndes has surged through to the lead of the V8 Supercar 1000. He's carrying a lot of speed on the Gibson Motorsport car. Forced his way up the inside of Mark Scaife's Holden Racing Team Commodore. And these were the three who did our Kmart inside line running, showing you the way around Mount Panorama. Now they're showing you the way around in first, second and third place. Craig Lowndes now takes over the lead. What an incredible change of events.
All three have won this event for the Holden Racing Team, and they are in the top three placings. The visor down. Let's get back on with the job. And this Gibson Motorsport Falcon, the brand new one, is powering on. Some more position updates for you. Further back is the other FTR Falcon of Dean Canto and Jim Richards. Dean Canto is in 6th position.
Look at the amount of speed this Gibson Motorsport car's got. He's just done a 2:23.9. Scaife at 2:27. Murphy at 2:27 as well. So a massive advantage in terms of overall grip and speed at the moment in this Gibson Motorsport car. He's just leaving them in his wake.
I've just noticed it, guys. I'm looking on the timing monitor, and Garth's actually 3 seconds faster on the wets than these guys on slicks. So right at the moment, the wet's probably the right tyre to have, but I'm sure that'll go away pretty quick, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was surprised actually. I was just about to say the same thing. He really is. He's a lot quicker than anyone, isn't he?
Murphy now starting to work on Scaife. The number 11 machine is next in line. Russell Ingall's not doing a bad job either. Then it's Brad Jones, Canto, Mazira, Tander, Ellery and Ritter. That's the top 10. Seaton is clawing his way back, but look at this. The two TWR Australia cars fighting it out. The HRT machine and the Kmart car. Murphy all over the back of Scaife.
Fantastic battle. Craig Lowndes made the switch to Ford at the beginning of the season, and now he's delivering. Really delivering for the Blue Oval as they charge down Conrod Straight once again. It's Lowndes in the lead, Scaife in second. Murphy, you're riding with Murphy in the Kmart machine. Russell Ingall in behind them. Then it's Bradley Jones in the Aussie Mail Ford. Dean Canto driving the FTR Falcon. So there's still an awful lot of quality in this field. Who's going to win this one? Nobody knows.
Jason, an email, I think it might be from your cousin, Scott Bargwanna. Is that your cousin?
It would be.
How fierce is the tyre wear at this cracking pace?
The tyre wear hasn't been an issue at the moment. Actually, we've had good tyre wear all week on the car. The car is looking after the tyres. The Bridgestones are really good, and obviously in these conditions, you're really not on the edge the whole time. So it's very exciting. We'll wait and see what happens. But answering your question before, Mark, I know who's going to win. It's going to be us.
Confidence plus.
Well, we wish you the best.
Back.
And thank you very much, Jason Bargwanna, for joining us. It's time for him to go back to work and take a time in the garage and watch what his teammate Garth Tander is doing.
Look at this battle. Craig Lowndes has opened it up 3 seconds that time. A 2:13.7 for the Gibson Motorsport car. 2:16 for the following TWR Holden. So Lowndes has found an enormous amount of speed in these changeable conditions. Here comes car 34, the Valvoline Cummins Commodore, in for a stop. The reigning champs, yep.
The reason reason for that, guys, is they took the gamble and went to wets. They've now had to come back and put on dries, obviously, or slick tyres because of the dry conditions. So this could be costly for the defending champions.
Certainly is. You don't need to do any unnecessary pit stops, that's for sure. This is an intriguing battle up front, though. Scaife and Murphy going hard at it, as hard as they can. Meanwhile, the action continues in the pits. Ellery, another unnecessary stop, just like Tander, and I'm sure you'll see Ritter come in as well.
You betcha you will, because they've now lined these slick tyres out, and of course Cameron McCain was just sitting down, and they said, quickly get your gear on, jump in the car. So he's rushing to pull his helmet on to climb in the car. Same scenario, a wasted stop and a ruined strategy.
The Morris car pulls over and allows Scaife and Murphy to go on through. An update for our New Zealand viewers. Your team, Team Kiwi, has come from the back of the grid to 16th position.
That's great. That's really good.
This is a real ding-dong battle. This is amazing stuff being run at very hot pace. Headlights ablaze for the TWR holders, Holden Racing Team, and Kmart second and third. Craig Lowndes, here comes Russell Ingall. And he's under attack from Brad Jones. So Jones sneaks through in the Aussie Male Ford. He's on fire. That moves him up to 4th place. Can you believe it?
Well, at a very appropriate time, his co-driver and the man who did a stunning job in his stint, the Scotsman John Clelland, joins us. John, welcome and congratulations.
Thanks. I just can't believe these bunch of fairies that came in for wets when it was only a little bit slippy. I don't know what that was all about.
Nothing like back home, huh?
No, if I'd known I had to come to Australia to get snow, I'd have stayed away.
Now, what he said was...
That's a good job you're here, Barry.
Can you believe the pace in this race, John? It's just incredible.
We talked earlier about what would the pace be, and people said, yeah, it'll be 12s, high 12s. Look at this, we're doing 10s all day, 10s and 11s.
2:12.2 for Craig Lowndes, a 2:13 for Scaife, a 2:13.1 for Murphy. So the two Commodores have picked up the pace. The gap 3.8 seconds to our race leader, and this is a real ding-dong battle between these two teams.
The Victoria Bitter on-car camera, the rearward-facing shot as we approach the halfway mark. Lap 79 of 161. It's Scaife fending off Greg Murphy in the Kmart Commodore. Meanwhile, Craig Lowndes has put 3.8 seconds on these guys.
Incredible stuff. Just incredible the way they made the right strategy call at that moment. Some of the teams came in to put wet weather tyres on. They got a lot of opponents out of the way for the Gibson team. They took the leapfrog, absolutely pounced on these leading pair, and now Lowndes is leading the race. I've never seen anything like it.
Barry, that's an incredible performance from Lowndes.
Yeah, the forward, you could say it's Falcon unbelievable.
You got it in. The Grand Danier's on the straight all day.
You're down here with McLean now climbing in. Really, the system has been so far today. The weather has rewarded those who persevere. And he stalled it on the way out too, by the way. The weather has rewarded those who persevered and stayed out on slicks. Those who made the gamble to go to wets have always lost.
Yeah, they paid a penalty.
John Clelland, can you confirm the situation? Because we had an interview in pit lane with Brad Jones, and he said, we don't think John's understanding our message when you stayed out there perhaps a little longer than you should have. Tell us your side of the story.
Yeah, I struggled to understand the Australian accent. That was the biggest problem. Now, what happened was the radio packed his hand in, and I realised all I was getting was a crackling noise. And I said to them, guys, if you can hear me, put a board out, tell me what's happening. But in true style, we couldn't find a board, we couldn't find a pen, and we were out trying to buy a carrier pigeon to send messages.
Well, we're very fortunate to have the drivers come in and visit us for a very short time. So if you've got any questions for John Clelland, the Aussie Ford driver, send them in now. Go to the website, www.rpmlive.tv. It's on your screen right now. Try and write them in Scottish if you can, and if you can't, we will decipher them.
3.7 seconds the gap, a 2:11.9.
We got to catch Lowndes anyway. Just tell him that, Jeff.
Scaife just telling his team boss, we're going to catch Lowndes anyway. So he must have plenty of confidence in the car, and he's now undercut Craig Lowndes' time, a 2:11.9 for Lowndes, a 2:11.7 for Scaife, and Murphy going with him, so they're going to close in on that forward. 3.7 seconds the gap now between first and second.
Earlier in the telecast, you enjoyed the Kmart inside line, and something that you didn't see, because that's obviously a pre-recorded segment that we did yesterday, and yesterday afternoon these guys were clowning around with their intercar comm systems, and after that lap was complete, Mark Scaife said to Greg Murphy, hey Murph, while you're back there, get used to it. You're going to see the back of my car a lot tomorrow.
Well, it's a real battle, isn't it? Both working under the TWR Australia umbrella, but fierce competition between these two squads. And these are the two lead cars. Car 1, Mark Scaife and Tony Longhurst. And the top car in the Kmart stable, driven by Greg Murphy and Todd Kelly.
We are smack bang on halfway in the 2001 V8 Supercar 1000. John Cleland, here's a question for you from Peter Bryan, Valley View, South Australia. How hard is the driver changeover, and what actually happens? What's your responsibility? What do you have to do?
Well, as soon as the team tell me I've got to come in, I have an air vent in my helmet. That's got to come out first of all, and unplug the drinks bottle, the hose in my helmet. I'm not allowed to undo my seatbelt or anything like that until I come in pit lane. So, like a good boy, I don't do any of that.
Change over.
Don't worry, mate, that's fine. Good job.
And you can hear there just saying, don't worry about that, that's fine. And that could have been a strategical ploy from HRT.
Oh, definitely. We just said on the radio that they told to let Murphy pass, because what they're going to try and do is draft him on the straights, try and get him better fuel economy. Because these guys have been pushing so hard.
And watching the background, because looming, you can see the big Kev racer there, but the car immediately behind is the next car in the order. That's the 4th placed Aussie Male Falcon of Brad Jones, and the man who's up here with us right now, John Cleland. They're being chased by the Ingle-Perkins connection. John, what has gone on today? What is going so right that didn't go right at the Queensland 500?
Well, the car's reliable. The guys have worked really well. They've just worked all night last night, changing virtually everything except the colour scheme on the car. We just couldn't get it to work in qualifying. The 8-litre engine obviously helps.
All right, well, it's a fantastic performance, not only by John Cleland and Brad Jones, but a whole host, particularly those up front. And Lowndes is not only the lead forward, but the lead car. Keep your eyes on the colour boxes to the left. If it's purple, it means they've done their mandatory brake pad change, and also indicates the number of stops made. Hope you're enjoying the V8 Supercar 1000. More after this break.
It's hard to believe we're only just over halfway through the V8 Supercar 1000 in 2001, because so much has already happened. There has been, mayhem on the circuit. Well, I said so much has already happened. Safety car out.
Well, this is up, just coming into the Ford cutting, and looks like the Andrew Harris car is in trouble there. Here comes race leader Craig Lowndes, picks his way through there. Here comes Murphy and Scaife. Fortunately, the Harris car has managed to get going. I think the Waihoon Salmon car is still stuck there. Will this bring out another safety car? Look how close this leading 5 or 6 cars are. They're all almost within sight of each other. Craig Lowndes pushing hard, a man on a mission. He's now clawed his way to the top. It's a great strategy by Gibson Motorsport to keep the car out there. And just at that moment when the track was a little bit greasy, a little bit changeable, he had a better setup on the car than the 2 Commodores, and he was able to pounce on them and open it up. But now they've stabilised the gap, 3.3 seconds. And you can bet these 3 guys are driving the wheels off these things.
He's really on it now, Craig.
Yeah.
He's really having a go.
This is the first car to come out of the Gibson Motorsport factory. If you wish, this year, of course, the old car was an old Stone Brothers car. So they're really showcasing their talents here at Mount Panorama. They've only done 2 test sessions in the lead-up to this race meeting. It's a clear, clean battle now. Murphy's got a clear shot at Lowndes, Scaife at Murphy, and likewise Brad Jones on Scaife. The top 4. Here's a replay. This is the Craig Harris car. Gets out a little wide, and that's where it all went wrong.
Craig Harris, Michael Simpson car. We're just checking who's driving the car at the moment. It is Michael Simpson, the Queenslander.
One of the rookies.
So fortunately, he was able to get back into the action. But there's Craig Lowndes, the race leader. Look at those ominous grey clouds in the background. Very hard to pick this weather. Look at Brad Jones. Can you believe the performance of this Aussie male Ford? John Cleland, you certainly know how to pick him. This is a great car to be on board this year.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. I mean, he's doing a fantastic job. He did so at Queensland as well, and unfortunately, from a 6th place, we had some component failure in the car, but this just looks terrific at the minute, but it's halfway through. It's a long way to go.
Exactly.
Thank you, John. It's time to go back to work. The team are calling him out of the commentary box. Thank you very much, John Cleland. And keep those emails coming in on rpmlive.tv, because we're going to have a lot more guest commentators up here throughout the day.
You want to see how funny it was to see John Cleland say, "Oh, I've got to go out, I've got to..." He's rushed out there so fast, you never see anything you like.
Well, Fredo, not a bad debut for the new car.
No, it's pretty good, Greg. Really, it's a long way to go yet, but only halfway through the day yet. If you're not there in the last hour, not to go yet. But no, the car's going well. We had a bit of a thing with the Budweiser car early in the race. We come back with a few, I suppose, punts we took, and we're leading now, but say still a long way to go yet.
Just looking down the top 4 on the leaderboard, this is a game of strategy and quick pit stops, and you 4 certainly seem to be doing that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, you know, you got the top teams in the front now. They're all going to be pondering thinking what they're going to do next to try and get the jump on everyone else. It's a matter now of sort of waiting to see how the pit stop strategy works out again. Hopefully we're in the right spot at the right time.
Now you're looking from an economy standpoint. There was lots of debate over whether this would be a 4-stop or a 5-stop race.
Well, right now it's less blown to the weeds with the pace cars and these Regan, and also the weather. So it'll matter probably everyone doing 4 stops. Of course, the weather's saved a lot of gas in this with the rain, and also the safety cars. So it's still a long way to go yet.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks, Fred.
Yeah. He's very cool, isn't he, Fred Gibson? But he's got a fantastic record here. Victory here with Greg Murphy and Stephen Richards in 1999. They backed up with a 3rd place last year with Murphy and Richards. So he has got a fantastic record, and boy, the Gibson Motorsport team know how to put together a very, very strong car.
What about his own history, Barry? He's conquered the mountain. He did it with Jim Richards, Mark Scaife. The list goes on, and you just can't buy that kind of experience.
Well, that's so. The funny thing is, when you talk to Fred, he exudes confidence. You know, you come out thinking, well, he really knows what it's all about, doesn't he?
I think he just remains very calm.
Oh, that was close.
I think this is the collision, the Shell Helix replay of the collision. Maybe they just avoid. I thought I could have squeezed through there, but maybe not.
Right in the middle of the road. Now, I was going to say, the thing that impresses me about the Gibson Motorsport team this year is their willingness to roll the dice. You know, they've been caught out a couple of times. It hasn't worked in their favour, but they're not afraid to have a go and have a gamble. If they're looking for track position, they need to do it quickly.
2nd and 3rd, Murphy and Scaife. Then it's Jones. Then it's Russell Ingall. And what a performance. You can see the first FTR Falcon there coming under siege from the number 2 HRT machine. Thomas Mazira squeezes through on Dean Canto. Nice work there, but it's also tremendous driving from Dean Canto in car 6. He took over from Jim Richards and is the lead FTR AU XR8. His team boss is immediately behind in 8th position. Garth Tander maintains 9th. Ellery and Brabham still in the top 10, and great driving by Larkham and Gardner. They're still in 11th.
Up over the top of the hill. FTR car still running strongly. Dean Canto in 6th, Seaton in 8th. Seaton trying desperately to claw back from that pit stop that the team had to make under green flag conditions. They lost a lot of track time. So now he's got it all to do, climbing his way back toward the front.
Team Kiwi cars up to 15th. That's good going, isn't it?
Well, that's what the story of Bathurst is. Of course, you need a fast car, you need a reliable car, you need good pit strategy, etc. to win the race. But to get a solid result, you've just got to stay out there. Look at Cameron McConville. He was up here earlier with us. At the stage he was up here, Rick Bates was in 23rd position. He took over. Rick and he combined well. They're now in 14th.
Yeah, quite incredible. You just got to keep going in this event. It's a long, long way. Easy to get sucked into those early laps and thinking, well, yeah, he's quick, oh, he's looking strong. But it's amazing how that form guide can change so dramatically by the time you've done 161 laps around here.
What do you think? Tander came in and put wets on, and then had to come in again and put slicks on again, and now he's back up into ninth place. I mean, it's incredible.
And how fortunes turn. Paul Wheel at one time. Have we got someone off there? That's the Harris car again.
Michael Simpson.
Wheel is way back down the order now in the high teens, and likewise John Bow is in something like 21st position after leading the race.
Great drive here by Russell Ingall. He's in 5th place and well in contention in the Castrol Commodore. So the order at the moment, Lowndes 3.6 seconds, so he's maintaining that gap over Murphy. Lowndes is just on a 2:11.8, Murphy a 2:11.5, Scaife a 2:11.9, so those two Kmart and HRT Commodores running nose to tail. Brad Jones in 4th, Ingall in 5th, Mazira in 6th, Canto in 7th, Glenn Seaton in 8th, Tander in 9th, and Ellery in the Super Cheap Autos car still hanging around in that top 10.
Now there's some radio communication going on in the background there. Your call, you let us know. Someone is thinking about coming in.
Look at these weather conditions. You see it on the camera lenses sometimes, just a few spits of rain. We've got an enormous amount of racetrack to cover here, and it can be totally different on one side to the other.
The radio communication you heard was in fact Gibson Motorsport. Neil Crompton is all suited up with his helmet on, standing by. The team are limbering up for a possible pit stop. Bear in mind, this squad have yet to do their stop for front brake pads.
Yeah, well, the brake pads, I mean, slick operations like Gibson's, I mean, the brake pad change doesn't take any longer than putting 4 tyres on fuel and driver. So if there's no problems during the stop, that shouldn't cost them any extra time. But the fact is, the longer you leave the car out there, the more brake pad wear you've got, the more the hydraulic cylinders are sticking out of the calipers, and there's always a potential for those things to jam as they try and put them back in to put the new pads in.
Seaton continues to push hard and do his best. He's clawed his way back up into the top 10, and we've just had another report that bad weather is on the way.
Oh,
Look
is
at
it
that.
what? Look at that. Got another downpour on its way.
And it's raining on top of the mountain.
Okay, mate.
Teams are informing their drivers. Just be cautious is the call, and that's what they will adhere to. Garth Tander in car 34 powers on past the Rodney Forbes Parsons entry.
In 9th place. They were one of the teams that came in for wet weather tyres when that heavens opened up. It was the wrong call. Moved away. We had sun come out. They've had to come in and make an extra stop to go back to slicks. It's a very, very brave man who can make a call on rubber, a decisive call on rubber at that time.
And Tander will be hoping for a pace car.
That's what you're in for, you see, because you come howling up there in the dry, and then at the second you get to find out it's wet, it's wet, it's too late, it's too late, and to catch it like that, it's frightening.
Well, that's a classic example of what I was talking about, how it can change so quickly. Listen to the tyres squealing and screeching for grip.
And then you go down the other side of the circuit, it's bone dry, so
6.2 kilometres. That's why we can have varying weather conditions on varying parts. These guys are on slick tyres and fighting to keep these big 1,350 kilo monsters on the road.
How'd you fancy that, Marco? At the end of the straight here, 290-odd Ks, right-hand kink on slicks in the wet. Lovely.
Yeah. Very, very intimidating sort of place. This is Tander. He's still in 9th.
You reckon, mate, wet or not?
Discussion going on at HRT. What's the call?
They're weaving their way through the slower
It's
cars.
wet enough down here. I don't know what's like up the top.
Well, it's very
Now,
hard to
it
tell.
looks like you think it's top here. It's failing.
Persistently coming down was Mark Scaife's call.
I mean, mate, if you don't think it's safe, just come in and put wets on.
Tander is continuing. He's not thinking it's wet enough up top there. This is where it's a gamble. Tander came in last time, so maybe the Valvoline team are a little gun-shy to do it again.
Oh, no, it's
That's up on top of the mountain. I think that's just coming over McPhillamy Park. Oh, problems here for Larkham.
Is that the Gibson car?
That's Lowndes.
Lowndes is in the wall.
Lowndes has gone into Forest
Look
Elbow.
at this, look at that.
On the exit to Forest Elbow. Can you believe it? The race leader.
And that is not the first time that's happened to Neil Crompton. When he and Wayne Gardner were leading before, that's exactly where they crashed out. They're going off everywhere. That's a Ricky Adello Nash entry.
Safety car is on the circuit, not surprisingly. Now, Craig Lowndes has gone into a tyre barrier there. He hasn't hit the concrete, I don't think. He's just dislodged. Haviland car, there's going to be cars spearing off all over the place. There's still going to be a few more, I reckon.
And do you see, this is what I was saying when you're going up the mountain. If it was as wet as this when you got to the top of the mountain, you could have a horrific break.
Well, it just goes to show the Haviland car was caught out. Probably what caught Lowndes out as well. Now, Lowndes, I can't quite see there whether he's managed to back out of there, but he actually drilled the tyre wall.
Now that is, they're going thinking, oh, well, he's going that speed, so I can go that speed, and both go off together.
No, he's still in there.
Stuck in there. Craig Lowndes in the Gibson Motorsport Ford. You're looking at your race leader, or he was the race leader, crunched into the Aussie Mail elbow.
How would you feel? How would you feel?
So, the way it is, just wheel spinning.
Yes. Until someone tows me backwards, I'll be able to drive it back.
So that's what we thought.
I went off the way out at McPhillamy Park, so just take my spoiler.
Sounds like...
Don't go off the radio. Don't go off the radio because there will be a chance they will have to tow you out.
Communication lines are
Everyone's
jammed.
steering in behind me, so I hope no one hits me.
He's feeling vulnerable there.
Tander's
Problems
gone
here
off
for
as well.
Tander and Bargwana. Everyone's losing it down at the elbow. So this car's spearing off every direction.
Well, here's a replay, a Shell Helix replay of Gibson Motorsports. Craig Lowndes, watch to the top of your screen, trying to pull it up, and crunch.
Well, that car doesn't look very badly damaged at all. Look, if he can get out, let's see the wheel spin. He just can't back the car out.
That's what he was saying. It was just spinning.
Neil Crompton, we're just watching the replay there. It looks as though he's gone in, but the main problem seems to be just backing the car out. It doesn't seem to be too bad, the damage.
No, I suspect that the Forest Elbow there's a lot of tyres with the rubber belt round the outside. Obviously, we can't see the front of the car, and I've not really seen what's happened, but maybe you need to rock the car sometimes to be able to engage reverse gear, so there's a problem there. But, yeah, obviously disappointing and frustrating considering our pace.
Yeah, certainly it was going so well, Neil. It's a real shame for you.
It's unbelievable, Rusty. 3 times I've stood out here for a driver change when we've been leading a race thinking, oh, it'll be a beauty, and it hasn't quite worked for some reason, so maybe I just should stay inside for a while.
Hard luck. At least he's laughing, guys.
Oh, imagine the disappointment. He's used to the disappointment. Crompton's had an enormous number of disappointments at Mount Panorama. One of the fastest men ever around this daunting circuit, and luck just does not fall his way.
There is damage, so much damage down there in pit lane. This is the Haviland Ford. Matthew White, David Bernard.
You could just see a classic example.
Back on it, but give the wheels a shake in the front. And someone line up the wheel alignment, please. Just check the wheel alignment.
So there's all sorts of damage. You can hear that. People calling for wheel alignments, panel repairs, and all sorts of stuff. Just chaos erupted on Mount Panorama just a few seconds ago when the rain came down. Everyone on slick tyres. The car started to aquaplane, and we lost something like a dozen cars.
Hold the wheel straight, please, Wayne.
Larkham's out of the car. Wayne is in the car. They're asking him to hold the steering wheel straight. Grant?
Yeah, down here, despite the chaos across the top of the mountain and the incidents, the gamble is you just can't put wet tyres on. Continually, it's rewarding those who are staying on slicks. Again, it's still dry down here. So now, obviously, the Larkham and Gardner car, they're just trying to fix, it looks like a steering problem. It looks like they've bent the steering arms there. They're now about to drop and send him back out. So hopefully this is not going to put them back too far.
And again, the rain down here stops. The wind continues. Barguana is in the 34 Valvoline Cummins Commodore. He begins his second stint of the day.
Speed limit was the cry. They've already been pinged for speeding in pit lane earlier in the race. They don't want it again.
It wasn't a cry so much as a plea, was it?
Oh, they've ruptured the fuel tank here.
God.
He's hit the wall so hard. Those cars have a aircraft-grade leak-proof bladder inside the tank. But sometimes you can hit them so hard you even have a problem there.
And this has played into the hands of the Aussie male Falcon. Brad Jones has now moved up to 3rd place. It's Murphy, Scaife, Jones, Engel and Canto top 5. This is Garth Tander. Watching the Lowndes car is off to the right-hand side on the grass. Well, that was almost...
just as well they put those tyres there.
Do you remember a few years ago when Gardner and Crompton were leading? Gardner stopped there and Larkham slammed into him. It was almost a repeat of that.
There we go, the Caterpillar Ford just disappearing out of shot. What's here? Okay, this is the moment on top with the Terry Wyhern Rod Salmon machine. Oh, wow, didn't he drill that bank?
That's a big contact.
That's a big hit.
As the car disintegrates, the front end at least anyway, the One World Sport entry. And this is a sorry sight for Gibson Motorsport. The car, we suspect, is not too badly damaged, but frustrating times here on the mountain and evidence of how this place can bite. The weather has been unpredictable, but it's been a very, very interesting race so far. The 1,000-kilometre Classic will continue after this short break. You're watching your home of motorsport, Network 10.
Here at Mount Panorama, you want it to either rain consistently or not at all. But this mixture that we've had today has been disastrous for some of the teams. A high attrition rate, you can see on the right of your screen there, Craig Lowndes still tucked under the tyres. There it is on the back of your screen now. And he needs to get clear and hopefully minimise the damage.
All of our New Zealand viewers via TV1, well, don't start cracking them, but certainly line the champagne bottles up. Your boys have come from the back of the grid. I'm talking about Team Kiwi, Jason Richards and Angus Fogg, from the back of this 39-field grid to 13th position after the car was almost ridden off last night. Greg Murphy in the Kmart Commodore. This is Lee Diffie. Can you hear me? Hello, Greg. This is Lee Diffie. Can you hear me? We're trying to make contact with a number of the drivers. We'll endeavour to do so, but we've been joined by Stephen Johnson in the commentary box. Stephen, hard luck today, mate.
Yeah, Lee, it's been it's been a very trying weekend for us, and obviously it just wasn't our weekend. But the car, it seemed to have some sort of a straight line speed problem from the start of the race. And Paul reported, and I jumped in, and yeah, it didn't feel very good at all. So the car was fast across the top of the mountain, but we couldn't get anywhere near them in the places where you can pass, which is down the bottom here.
All right, we're trying to make contact again with Greg Murphy in the Kmart Commodore. Greg, can you hear me? It's Lee Diffie. those technical problems continuing. Steve, did the car feel good during the day, or it was a sudden problem, or it was a continual problem?
No, it seemed to happen from the start of the day. So Paul reported in that it was struggling up the straight, and you could see that Bridie and Ellery all passed Paul up the straight. So I don't know what's going on there, but
you were saying that Paul said he could smell coolant or something. It sounds a bit head gaskety.
Yeah, he smelled coolant. The thing got hot, and obviously has melted something inside the engine because there's no water going through it. The thing just ended up stopping.
Yeah, it's amazing how the fortunes can fluctuate here. Could you believe the pace? Just incredible.
It's it's a very, I was wringing the neck out of the thing just to try to keep up with the guys in front, let alone past them. And as I was saying before, the thing was quick across the top and quick into the chase, but exiting Hell and Murray's corner was very slow, so it was very hard to try to make a passing move, because you try to set your passes up at those corners for like Griffin's Bend and that sort of thing. So
we talk so often about the physical demands on you guys around the mountain, and in fact throughout the entire championship, but at that cracking pace, like 210s, 211s, it's astounding. We thought the pace back in 97 went between Brock and Perkins was amazing, but how demanding is it on you mentally?
It is quite tough, but having said that, I jumped in the car and when I jumped out of the car, felt really good. Like, felt as though I could have done a double stint, and they were actually talking about me doing a double stint to the end of the race. So felt really good, but having a look at what problems the guys were having before with the rain, I was saying to you guys earlier that I came across the top of the mountain once and was behind Longhurst and Todd Kelly. Wondering what all the smoke was coming up from coming up from over Skyline, because you can't see over there, as you know, and I thought I'd back off and went over Skyline, and all of a sudden there was just water everywhere. All three of us nearly went into the wall, so it was very close, but we're unfortunately out of the race.
Oh, you got it going.
He's got it going, but he's dropped I think 2 laps, maybe 3 laps.
The wheel's stuck
in there.
Not too much damage to it.
Oh, there we go. Got the tyre rubbing down.
Straight, steering wheel is straight. There's a lot of smoke coming in the car.
He's just saying that the steering wheel is straight, so it's obviously just pushed the front bar onto that right front wheel.
Shaking the steering.
2 laps to go, 72 laps to go.
2 laps down he is. We've just checked on our lap board, so...
It's just not Ford's track, is it?
No, it's amazing how Ford said
before, it's Falcon unbelievable, isn't it?
It is.
What a comeback for Team Kiwi. Jason Richards, God, it's just been such a long night for you having to rebuild that car after a crash yesterday. Now you're in such a top position.
Will be a driver
third in place, and that's awesome. Car's not as good as it was yesterday. I think we've got a dud left shock, but apart from that, hey, we're 13th, and we've come from the back of the grid. We're even worse from pit lane, and absolutely, I'm stuck for words, really. The guys have done an awesome job. They're getting a bit sleepy in the workshop. They keep nodding off, so I've got to get them a whack to keep them awake.
It really is a place for the brave at the moment, isn't this? Weather just keeps coming and going. You don't know what to do.
Yeah, well, obviously that's been something which we've been good at. Angus and I keeping out of trouble today, and it's paying off, and I think we can get into the top 10.
Oh, that'd be great to see. Good luck, and well done on the effort rebuilding the car last night too.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thanks to TAFE and, of course, our crew. They've done a fantastic job.
Thanks, Jason.
How many times here at the mountain have those TAFE boys got someone out of a sticky situation? They are heroes, and Fogg and Richards will be national heroes when we go to Pukekohe for the second last round of this year's Shell Championship Series, the 9th to the 11th of November. We hear that they have pre-sold something like 31,000 tickets. That's an amazing effort.
Incredible. Steve, you said when you got out of the car you felt like you could do another sort of stint on that. That's because you had such a relaxing drive down here, didn't you?
Yeah, that's it, mate. Thanks for that, Bazza. I actually had a bit of a team bonding thing, came down the bus with all the boys, and as you can imagine, I did not drink one drop of alcohol.
But that'll be rectified tonight.
No, that wasn't what you told me before.
Now listen, don't forget, we've been getting some wonderful emails in here today, and www.rpmlive.tv is the site to visit if you've got the net at home or if you're in the office or wherever you are. Send us an email, and more to the point, send Stephen Johnson an email and keep those questions rolling in. Now here's one from Stephen Hart in Bundaberg in Queensland. Stephen, do you get a lot of pressure and expectation put onto you from your father?
Mate, I don't really. I mean, he has been great this year. He's sort of not kept away, but he's done his own job, and he's kept to himself and let me do my job, and it's been fantastic. There's been no pressure this year. Obviously, there would have been if I would have been coming 20th, but it's a little bit different, isn't it?
must have been really difficult last year when everyone was saying, oh, the only reason he got the job is because of his dad. And
yeah, it has been tough, Bazza. I mean, you know, you and I have spoken about it quite a lot, so...
There's the Caterpillar Ford into pit lane, taking advantage of this safety car period. The order: Murphy, Scaife, Brad Jones in third, Russell Ingall fourth, Dean Canto fifth, seat sixth, Jason Bright, Stephen Ellery, Jason Barguana in ninth, and Cameron McLean in the second shell forward is 10th.
Steve, you know, whether you're a motorcycle rider or a car driver, whatever the situation is, usually you guys don't like talking about other drivers and giving them big raps, but I'm sure that you would be very pleased and impressed with Greg Ritter.
Yeah, Greg is, you know, he's done a fantastic job. He did a great job up at Queensland Raceway as well, qualified well and raced well. He had a few problems with his back up there, but I think that was to do with the seating position, and he's doing a fantastic job here. He's a great driver, and, you know, I think he's going to go a long way.
Let's have a look at the race update.
This V8 Supercar 1000 race update brought to you by Vodafone.
Well, it seems like a long time ago now that Greg Murphy was leading the way in a very eventful race, but things started to take a strange turn as weather closed in. Mark Scaife took the lead. A few cars then pitted for wets. They had to actually come back in and change them back to slicks because that rain didn't stick around. Lowndes took advantage. He stayed on slicks, crept through the field, took the lead from Scaife and started to run away from them. It was a real battle among the top three. Murphy took Scaife. Brad Jones sneaking up on all three of them. He was in fourth place at the time. So we had some tremendous contests. There's Bradley. He and John Cleland have done a mighty job today. But then the weather again played havoc. On the top of the mountain, Lowndes putting it underneath the tyres. He was the major casualty while leading the race on slick tyres. Could not extricate the car. He's only just been pulled out of trouble and is in the pits right now. And they're trying to sort out some bent panel. Now, also in trouble across the top of the mountain. That was very, very lucky for the Shell Helix second car, of course, Steve Johnson and Paul Radicic out of the race. A lot of cars, though, are in trouble.
We continue with the 2001 V8 Supercar 1000. The cars remain under caution, and the emails keep flooding in for Stephen Johnson, at one time a challenger for the race lead, now out, and along with Paul Radicic in the number 17 Shell Helix Ford. Now, from New Zealand, an email from Kawarau. I've probably got that totally wrong, and I promise I'll work on my Kiwi before we get to Pukekohe. Karawau Stewart. And Steve, he says, or she says, what do you feel when you're doing 290 kilometres an hour down Conrod Straight?
I'll tell you what, you can feel your heartbeat when you're strapped in hard.
especially if the brakes don't work.
Exactly right. No, it is an amazing feeling, especially on a qualifying lap when you can get through that chase, that right-hander absolutely flat. It is an unbelievable feeling. And this year, really, properly, I've only been able to do it this year because of the resurfacing. It's not as bumpy, and you can stop it at the other end. It's an amazing feeling.
Thumbs up for the resurfacing. You like it?
Yeah, I do. But it's taken a few bumps out of the track, which take a little bit of character, I guess, away from it. But it's generally still all the same. It's still got Reed Park's drop-offs and McPhillamy and Skyline, so it's still a very exciting track to drive on.
So Mark Scaife in second position behind the safety car. He's run a strong, consistent race so far. Greg Murphy in front of him. It's a Commodore 1-2 at the front. The first of the Fords is Brad Jones.
Because I was having a look at Scaife's, actually speaking to Scaife about his car and the steering wheel and things. It's an amazing thing. It's like a Formula One style steering wheel with a computer and everything on it. And, you know, these cars are just getting more and more technical as we go along.
You'll notice here a set of brake pads. We're down at Gibson Motorsport. One of those pads was found at the very entrance to pit lane where the teams first click on the speed limiter. They believe it's off the back of Craig Lowndes' Ford. It spat it out apparently as he came into pit lane. Now, Craig Lowndes, you're with us, but you say the car didn't sort of change in pitch at all as you came into pit lane?
No, the car felt quite fine. I don't know what they're talking about, but if it spat a pad out, you know, hopefully for Neil he can feel that, or if they've fixed it, it'd be great.
What if that necessitates a penalty of some kind, if that's come off on the run into pit explain?
Yeah, I don't know. Really, the car was working fine up until it got buried under the tyres. All I needed was really a tow backwards to get sort of unstuck. Like, the car itself was quite fine. There's some superficial damage on the guard, but the steering, everything's still fine. It just needed to get pulled out from underneath it.
Cast your mind back. Tell us exactly what happened with that incident.
Well, it started to rain virtually from McPhillamy across, and we all backed off. It sort of looked like hail, actually. I think I was following Rod Nash's car, and then Mark Larkin was further on. I sort of had contact with Rod Nash, or I'm not sure who was in the car at the time, going through the dipper, because we were all trying to sort of skate through, and got to Forest Elbow, and it was just that little bit heavier. And I saw Larkin sort of understeer right off the track, and I just tried to pull it up as quick and hard as I could, and I just couldn't pull it up, and it just virtually just buried straight under the tyres. As I said, the car itself is not damaged very severely. It was just I was stuck. I just couldn't get out. All I needed was a pull back.
It's an incredible race, Craig. Hard luck.
Well, it's not over yet.
Well, I think back to earlier in the day as well, when he had made contact with the Bud Falcon.
Green light at the end of this lap. Cannot pass until you pass the control line.
Communications there within the Gibson Motorsport team.
No passing until I pass the control line. Over.
And Neil Crompton responding.
Thank you. Over.
You can see that unusual steering wheel design in the Gibson car. If you haven't seen that before, they've actually got a cutaway at the top of the wheel rim to give the drivers a clearer view of the gauges, and particularly the shift lights at the top of the dashboard, which tell them when they've reached the 7,500 RPM rev limit. So all sorts of different approaches to the construction of these new cars, as Stephen Johnson commented on the Formula One grade LED readout steering wheel on the HRT cars. Here's a different idea.
Lights are out. We are about to go green. The pace car peels off, and Greg Murphy and Mark Scaife will resume their battle, and they're about to have a Ford put some heat on them. Here we go. We're back under green. The V8 Supercar 1000, round 11 of the Shell Championship Series. Brad Jones pulls out of the draft, takes a look at Scaife, and he's got Russell Ingall right on him.
And you just got to hold your breath now, because they've been under safety car for a long time, and as we've seen before, it takes a while for these tyres to come up to the right pressure and the right temperature, the drivers to get back into the groove. And this first lap or two after a restart is when they're at their most vulnerable. You usually see some sort of incident here. Hard under brakes at the end of Mountain Straight. They swing up through XR8 bend for the first time under green flag. And it's Greg Murphy in the Kmart Racing Commodore with his closest adversary, Scaife. They've been shadowing each other all day. Brad Jones in third. He's the best placed of the Fords. Russell Ingall in fourth, looking menacing. Dean Canto doing a fantastic job in the FTR Ford, with Glenn Seaton, the team boss, behind him. Two strong Fords there, still in contention. Jason Bright, the second of the Holden Racing Team Commodores. Then it's Ellery, still hovering around in that top 10 in the Super Cheap Autos car. Last year's champions, Bargwana and Tander, still inside the top 10.
So far today, 19 laps under safety car period. If you've just joined us, we have Stephen Johnson, the Shell Helix Ford pilot, in the commentary box with us. What is that like, Stephen, when you've been under safety car for so long and then they finally say, righto boys, go for it?
Yeah, it is. It's pretty difficult, actually. Like, I jumped in the car after the pit stop, and Paul Radisich jumped out, and my first laps were behind the safety car pretty much, and it was a bit of a weird feeling, and it does take you quite a few laps to get into the groove of things. Like, my fastest lap was nearly at the end of my stint.
Just had word that car 29, Paul Morris, will just serve a stop-go penalty for speeding in pit lane, one of many cars that has been pinged today. So Murphy gets the hammer down. Mark Scaife in second. Jones in third as they come down Conrod Straight. Russell Ingall just sitting there in fourth, well within touch of the two FTR Falcons, still looking strong in fifth and sixth position. Here's the battle for the lead. Two Commodores and a Falcon. We saw it before with Lowndes, but Lowndes ended up at the wall. Now another Ford Challenger steps up to the plate.
Steve, when you've got a full tank of fuel when you first go out, you run a lot more brake on the rear. Then as it
Murphy just missed a gear then, did you hear that?
Yeah, and Mark Scaife's taken advantage.
Scaife on the inside. This is for the lead. The HRT man will get there. Murphy didn't really want to relinquish that position, but was forced to, and Brad Jones could be a winner out of this situation as well. The Aussie male Falcon pulls alongside the Kmart Commodore. Not quite close enough. We'll have to tuck back into the draft, and we'll try a slingshot up into Ford corner.
There's those HRT cars, I tell you, they've got some straight line speed. I was behind those guys today, and you know, even with the problem, you couldn't get anywhere near them. They've got very fast cars today.
240 kilometres an hour at the end of Mountain Straight. Look at this, they're all over each other. Holden Racing Team now in charge. Kmart Racing in second. And if anyone had said to you on the approach to this race that Brad Jones and John Clellan were going to be the top placed forward about the 90 lap mark, you probably would have laughed at you.
Yeah, right. Considering they started 22nd position, another top charger has been Cameron McConville and Rick Bates, 21st off the grid. They are currently in 11th position. They've made up 10 places after dropping back as far as 24th. But this is Brad Jones, the multiple times Australian Super Touring Car champion, but best known for being the Works Audi driver and possibly giving drivers like Greg Murphy and Cameron McConville a real shot at the big time.
Poor Wheel up to 12th place again now. So he's a bit up and down a bit.
Yeah, this is an incredibly talented top 10, top 15 cars. There's so many cars in here contention.
You can actually...
Gibson Motorsport crew chief Alan Heafy has just been having a pretty long discussion with Paul Taylor, one of the Avesco officials, over this alleged incident in pit lane involving the brake pad with Gibson Motorsport. Now, what they believe may have happened is during the course of the actual stop to change the front brake pads, the pad may have gone underneath the car, and as Cromley's taken off, it spat it down pit lane. They will cop a stop-go penalty. As yet, race control has not informed them when that stop-go will occur, but Alan's pretty confident they're going to cop one.
Yeah, I didn't think, I was going to say, if that, say for example, if that rear brake pad had have fallen out, they wouldn't have got a stop-go penalty for that, because that is just a normal thing. But the other thing that would have happened, when he went to stop, the thing would have just popped.
And he would have run over Freddie, and Freddie wouldn't have been too happy, let me tell you.
Would have really been definitely right, just as well about it.
And if he's got rear brake pads that size, I said, we're lacking somewhere.
Yeah, exactly that. That's
Not
what I thought.
only has it been an amazing performance from the HRT Commodore of Scaife and the Kmart Commodore of Murphy, but the two Ford Tickford racing cars, Richards and Canto 5th, Seaton and Richards 6th. Now again, to explain the coloured boxes on the right-hand side of the screen, if they're still blue, it means those drivers have not performed the compulsory brake pad change. Purple means that they have. Stay with us on Network 10. We'll be back real soon. Commodore Country and Mount Panorama, and another lead change here. I make it the 13th today as Murphy takes Mark Scaife, the championship leader, down Conrod Straight through the chase. Let's quickly check the forward banner competition. Lap 100 of 161.
Oh, that's difficult. There's not many people can do that, you know.
No. There's Brad Jones coming under.
Well, he got past Scaife.
He has.
He's up to second now because Greg Murphy took over the race lead and he's bolted. He has left them, so it's now one Ford, one Holden at the front of this pack. The other way around, and Murphy leads the race yet again. This is the highest position that the Aussie Male Falcon has been in. Scaife has dropped back to third. Ingle is in contention. Then it's the two FTR Falcons.
Yeah, I was saying to Steve just now, the break, it's been unusual for Ingle. He's just been kind of quiet there, sitting there doing nothing. Well, nothing, you know, not sort of having a go in fourth place. I wonder if he's just sitting behind and saving as much fuel as he could down.
Well, the whole thing with this race, Baz, is just sizing up the oppositions. Stephen Richards says it so well. You spend most of the race just cruising around there, just seeing who's strong, who's going to have the strength at the critical end of the race. I reckon Russell's just doing that. That car's got so much pace.
Yeah, I reckon I'm pretty sure you're right.
Maybe Russell's just sick of paying fines.
He has paid quite a few.
Yeah, he's paid for Cam's holidays for about the last 4 years. You know, it's been quite good lately, though, hasn't it?
He has got a strong car, though, to come back from a bad start like he did this morning. He has got a very quick car.
I tell you what, he was so lucky he didn't get up the bottom.
I think it totally stalled, didn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely. But to get away with not getting wallops.
Now here's the replay of Brad Jones on Mark Scaife. Coming up into XR8 corner, the Shell Helix replay. Watch to the left of your screen. And the Falcon dives up the inside of the Commodore. Nice move. And Jones is having the race of his V8 career, that's for sure.
That's so nice, because you've seen his face all through the year, through last year. That's like, so bad.
Can't say enough about the performance of Dean Canto, the 21-year-old from Sydney. Look at this. Russell Engel attacks up the inside. Scaife gives him room. So two moves in the space of 2 laps. Scaife goes back another spot, now falling into the clutches of Dean Canto, the 21-year-old who won. The inaugural 2000 Konica V8 Supercar Series, and yes, as you can hear that radio message, they're driving to a strategy based on fuel economy, stretching that fuel economy.
The words were, don't worry, mate. Economy is what is important to us. Now, the Karcher Deco Rug Falcon in again. This is a stop-go for Wayne Gardner. Very strong run by these cars, the FTR Falcons, and that was a speeding infringement in pit lane. Look at this, Dean Canto has done a remarkable job with the 6 times Bathurst winner Jim Richards. Jim's son Stephen is teamed with the car behind. Glenn Seaton is driving the number 5 machine, so they've had a very, very strong run, and for the majority of the race, it's been even in the top 10. 5 Holdens, 5 Fords.
1.8 seconds now, the lead over Brad Jones. We've got the stop-go penalty for Neil Crompton as well in the Gibson Motorsport Falcon. Not quite sure what the penalty is, but he'll be in the pit lane soon.
I'd say that penalty mark is associated with that brake pad coming adrift and flying down pit lane when Neil took off before. So it'll be a pit lane infringement penalty. That's the stop-go. Standing by at the Aussie Mail pit, we're waiting for Brad Jones. Just had a word to his brother Kim, the crew chief. He tells me Brad has got massive radio dramas. We knew that this morning.
Well, you got Russell Ingall coming in too right now, Rusty, so he's going to be pretty busy there.
Yep, certainly is. Looks like the Kmart team on standby as well. So Greg Murphy is in as well. So this is all happening down here in pit lane.
Murphy, the race leader. Ingall is in as well, so too Cameron McConville. So 3 cars within the top 11, including the race leader. And now Kelly back in for his second of 2 stints. Murphy is scheduled to do 3, Kelly 2. It's been a lot of driving from Greg Murphy. Now Ingall is out of the car, Larry Perkins is in. Crucial. This is crucial stops.
That'll put Brad Jones into the lead. He didn't pit that time around. Slow, slow, slow is the word. Just watch those speeding limits. Here comes Crompton to serve his stop-go penalty.
Kmart car is out now. The Castrol car is out. What will Larry do here? Side by side.
Drag race at 40 kilometres an hour.
And now what do we do here?
Both got the speed limiters on, and the Castrol Commodore tucks in behind Crompton.
Tratt is coming in for a stop. It doesn't look like it will be a driver change, so he remains in the car. Or is it? In fact, it's Alan Jones that's in the car now. There's the stop-go for Neil Crompton. Those guys will not believe their bad luck.
Oh, it's just incredible, isn't it? They leapfrog their way up to the top.
Oh, no!
Team Kiwi.
Oh.
Going so well.
They're up to 12th.
Another safety car, we believe. So that will bunch things up. Here is the replay as to why. And that's quite a common problem at Cougar Corner. We've certainly seen that over the years.
Angus Fogg at the wheel, and unfortunately Angus was the man who backed it into the wall yesterday, so he's not having a good time at Mount Panorama.
This is your race leader, your new race leader, Brad Jones, and we saw the team getting ready before, but as Greg brought us up to date, there's problems with the radio. Will we see Brad pit this time or not?
How good is this for Brad Jones? Safety car about to come out.
As I tell you what, with Murphy and Ingall pitting just now, that has played right into their hands if a safety car comes out.
I just don't know whether the safety car is coming out on the circuit. You suspect it would, but if they do, here comes Jones now into the pit lane.
No, it's maybe
so safety car signs are out. We've got a safety car on the circuit. This is really falling into the Aussie Mail team's hands. What perfect timing.
Way to go.
Unbelievable for Brad Jones and John Clellan, Greg.
Well, Lee, as I said before, they've got no radio communication. They were standing by because he was due in any time. John Cleland is here. Now, the crucial thing about the Aussie Mail team is they have yet to do their front pad stops. They're going to be doing that this time around. Brad Jones out. John Cleland getting in.
Absolutely critical stop, this one. Monroe pit stop clock shows you on the bottom left-hand of your screen how long they're taking.
Well, this is Brad Jones' 17th Bathurst. He's enormously experienced. Scaife is out, and Longhurst back in the car.
Are they doing pads, Rusty?
Yes, Mark, they're doing the front brake pads at the moment on the Aussie Mail Ford. Longhurst is heading back out of pit lane in car 1. Car 18 exits pit lane as well, so The early stoppers in terms of those brake pads paying dividends, but we are under a safety car, so it's not all bad for car 21.
Well, we haven't got the stopwatch on this. Looks like a long stop. I hope there's no problems here. Going to lose that advantage.
Definitely had a problem with the right front.
Upwards of a minute. Look at this. 57, 58. Cleland's gone just shy of a minute. Now they are so fortunate that they were able to come in that safety car period.
Field slowing down.
They really are, because if they'd lost that amount of time under a sort of a normal period,
they'll still be kicking themselves, Baz. I mean, a good pad stop should take no more than 30 seconds.
There is the Forbes Parsons entry. Again, more problems. The FTR car moves up into that #1 position. The battered Cat car continues. What an enthralling race this has been. The V8 Supercar 1000. Yet again, another safety car period. Now, we see Jones and Cleland in the #1 spot, but we'll wait until we get back from the break, really, to update you on these placings on your Shell Helix race score, because it will all change when we return on the other side of this break. Welcome back to the mountain. You're watching the V8 Supercar 1000. They're still under safety car periods. We have the unique opportunity to cross down to Neil Crompton in the Gibson Motorsport Falcon. Hi, Neil. It's Lee Diffie. Can you hear me? We have had reports of a little bit of break-up on the top. We were just talking to Neil in the commercial break. Hi, Neil. It's Lee Diffie. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very distantly. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to work for you blokes today, but it looks like I'm going, isn't it?
You're going to have to for that next invoice, aren't you? What a day, mate. What a day. Bad luck's come back to bite you yet again.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, but what can you say? Craig was doing a fabulous job. He's a brilliant driver, and he was having a good go, and for some reason, you know, we've got this weird weather up here, and it's caught a few blokes out. But this is a beautiful little motor car. You come up here, give it your best shot, and see what you get.
Hey, tell us the situation with the stop-go and the brake pad. What was that all about? Hi, Neil. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, it's very difficult coming across the mountain with the weather we've got here.
You're talking to me, Lee. I can't hear you.
Neil, I'm talking to you now. I think a little bit of communication problems there coming out of the elbow on Conrad. Neil Crompton, can you still hear us? Never mind. We did have a bit of a chat, and we better let Neil go back to work because we're about to go under green very, very soon.
Shows how hard this place can be. That car looks like it's just come out of an emergency ward at a hospital. It's been beaten around the head.
While we're still under caution, the emails keep flowing in. More for Stephen Johnson. Do you have any other aspirations in racing, such as Formula One? That's from Jason Van Hooft.
Mate, not really. I'm really trying to go overseas and try to do some NASCAR things. And here we go. We're underway again.
Yep, someone diving into the pits there, but that's one of the back runners. We have the HRT car up front, pressing hard. Here we go. We're back under green on lap 101. So 60 to go from here. Quite a few laps under safety car situation today on the mountain. We are finally back under green, and here we go yet again. Jason Bright leads them up the mountain from Jason Bargwanna and Tony Longhurst.
Todd Kelly's the next in the line. Greg Ritter in the sole remaining Shell Ford. Stephen Richards, Larry Perkins back in the Castrol Commodore. John Cleland back in the Aussie Mail Ford. Jim Richards and Jeff Brabham. Super cheap autos cars just hovering around in the top 10 all day. You can see the Team Kiwi car in for its compulsory pad change. Miraculous that the TAFE repair team and the Kiwi team got that car going at all after that big shunt yesterday. Come across the top of the mountain, Jason Bright, Jason Bargwanna. Isn't that incredible the way the Valvoline Cummins team just keep rising to the top here? They did it last year. They're looking strong here this year.
Stephen Johnson, thank you very much for joining us in the commentary box, and hard luck about today, and best of luck in the final 2 rounds of the Shell Championship Series.
Thanks, guys. I probably would have preferred to be talking to you out on the track like Neil, but unfortunately I'm up here. But, maybe next year.
There is still one Shell Helix car remaining on the circuit, and as Stephen steps out, in just a few moments' time, we'll be talking with Castrol Holden driver Russell Ingall, and they are still very much in contention. Larry Perkins is running in 7th.
See you in the bar, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Baz.
Incredible performance from the Valvoline Cummins team, working their way up there. They've had a terrible season in the Shell Championship Series. Really have been struggling to get a good setup on the car. They've worked very, very hard to focus on trying to repeat that performance at Mount Panorama that they put in last year. Look at this. The cream continues to rise to the surface when the chips are down. up in the top three.
Well, they've endured a very frustrating year, and both drivers remarked when they pulled the car out of the truck this weekend, it just seemed to work right from the get-go. And Bargwanna looking in the mirrors at the Cat Ford, but that Cat Ford at the moment is certainly no threat. It is a lot further down the order. Another Falcon doing a good job is the Ellery Brabham machine right back there in 10th position, working their way up. We welcome Russell Ingall to the microphone, and Russell, it's been a rather eventful day.
Mate, what a day. I'll tell you what, you wouldn't believe it. When that shower came over the top, when they had the hailstorm, you wouldn't believe how slippery it was. Like we were in first gear and slipping the clutch trying to get around.
Really?
Oh, it was just like being on ball bearings. It was the most amazing thing I think I've ever come across in racing.
You're one of the luckiest guys on this mountain today not to have been hit from behind off the starting grid. What happened? Did you, as simple as just stalling it?
Yeah, I just did one of my normal starts and it bogged, but it seemed to flood and I just couldn't get it going. Initially I thought it stalled and I was on the starter motor, but it was running, but just sort of choked up, and then all of a sudden it cleared and off it went. There we go.
Were you looking in the rear mirror?
Oh yeah, trust me on that.
Send those emails in like you did with Stephen Johnson, Cam McConville, John Cleland, all of our guests today. www.rpmlive.tv if you want to ask a question to Russell Ingall.
Towards the end of your stint there, you looked like you were just sitting back, and then all of a sudden started to have a go.
Yeah, while the car's on full tanks, we sort of can keep up all right, but as soon as the fuel comes off below half, the thing goes like a jet and really gets going. That's when I got past. So both times when I got past Schofield was towards the end of the stint. So, you know, if we just want to be near the front and be able to race these guys when it comes to the last stint, and when it comes down to, say, the last 20 laps, the thing's going to be a rocket.
He's got a smile on his face, out rush, you know.
As we ride with Russell's teammate and co-driver Larry Perkins, the 6 times victor here on the mountain. Russell, Daniel Gibbons of Mackay in Queensland would like to know, why do you wear that piece of tape over your nose?
Well, that's something I actually picked up some of the sports athletes, I think, at the Olympics. I saw them wearing it and that sort of thing a few years ago. And
increased breathing, or what does it do?
Yeah, all it does is open up your nostrils a bit and sort of gives you a bit of a port job of the nose. You know, it just makes your nose breathe a bit easier. And I've got a little bit of a sinus problem, so I hook that on and just purely for breathing.
Team Kiwi have just come in, and Angus Fox jumped out, headed over to Jason Richards. Now, Angus, you've got a little bit of a strange system to overcome the difference in driver side. Just spin around for us, if you will, do a nice fashion parade turn. This is his dicky seat. He doesn't take it with him and throw it in like Jason Bargwanna. He actually tapes it to his body. It's sort of like a turtleback system.
Yeah, that's a Kiwi way of doing it, mate. It seems to work well. Just that Jason's a little bit rounder than what I am, so just we don't have to adjust the bottom belt, so it overcomes that problem.
Unfortunately now, Angus, some 2 laps down because of that spin coming into Murray's. What happened there?
Just locked the rear brakes and you know, went in too hard and probably getting a bit tired and went in. Just it happens. So did no damage. So just kept going. It's unfortunate because we were just about to pit anyway. So, but it happens. So what, I can't do anything about it now.
Still remarkable just to be here, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah, fantastic. And to get the car back on the road after yesterday's dramas, the boys did really well.
Let's hope you can get it home. Thanks, Angus.
Thank you.
I've seen Barry Sheen wear something similar at a party at his place, so wherever he falls down, he can sleep comfortably.
Oh, yes,
Lap 104 of 161, we pound on, and it's going to be a thrilling finish. This one is far from over. The Ritter, McLean, Shell Helix Ford continues to go, but what about these Holdens up front? The defending champions are challenging HRT. Bright and Mazira have been faultless up front. The youngster and the veteran have been doing a sterling job.
Sure have. The purple on those boxes indicates that they have made their compulsory pad change to the cars with the aqua-coloured box. That means they haven't. And you can see the amount of retirements down here. This place is tough, and a lot of cars have bit the dust.
A long way to go. Stay with us on your home of motorsport. There is so much more
Ford and
right now, and it's Kelly behind Jason Bargwanna, defending champions, and here it is. Kelly moving up.
Great move by the 21-year-old Todd Kelly, who continues to impress on the mountain. It's only his 4th visit here. A 5th place last year was his best effort, and he continues to go from strength to strength. This is your race leader, Jason Bright, in the HRT Commodore.
I'll tell you one thing, Jason Bright and Jason Bargwanna will be hoping for a few more safety cars. Just in doing our sums on this, a lot of those other guys who came in for that recent stop, about lap 100, they'll be able to go through to the finish with one more stop. But I'm just thinking, That's going to leave Brighton Bargwana, and they put on lap 87, so that would have left them with about 74 laps to go to the finish. So that's a bit marginal if they're going to run full green. They really need a few more safety car periods if they're going to get away with one stop as well. And even that's going to be close.
And for, I don't know how many times the weather has changed yet again.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful on top of the mountain. It's just been the most bizarre day weather-wise. Look at this. The FTR Falcon of Glen Seaton is starting to put the pressure on Tony Longhurst across the top of the mountain. And Stephen Richards on board the number 5 machine. A driver change has occurred, and Richards, who we saw impress very much so in his original stint today, he did a great job before handing back to Glen Seaton. He's on it again and putting the pressure right on the number 1 HRT car.
Well, out of those top 3, Todd Kelly's looking very good because he came independent. Here comes the move. Gives him room. And so Brighton Bargwana, they're just a little bit out of sequence on the fuel stop. They're going to stretch it too far. Tony Longhurst, Stephen Richards is looking very good too because they pitted on lap 100.
Russ, around here, there's not many braking markers, you know, when you come down the hill or whatever. What do you use for a braking mark?
Yes, as they resurface the circuit, a lot of the original braking markers you got to know over the years have just all gone. And most of the time you're just going by feel nowadays. I mean, and just picking out a tree or a piece of paper and just hoping it doesn't move.
Then you come in and, yeah, that little flower pot will do, then somebody's moved 150 yards further down the next.
Richo's doing a really good job at that thing.
Yeah,
He's going really well. It actually surprised me that he actually didn't start the race. Just to be quite honest, I think in race pace he's been a lot quicker than Glenn. And I can't understand why he didn't start it.
Russell, when we saw Stephen Richards there pressure the HRT Commodore of Tony Longhurst, notice today they seem to be very, very interested not only in fuel conservation but preservation of the machine. They're not challenging on overtaking manoeuvres. You made a couple on them. They seem not to be very interested in getting involved in any conflict.
I'm not sure whether they're trying to save the brakes a bit as well because they're braking quite a bit early. Our thing's pretty good under brakes and I've got Scafie both times, but they seem to be braking very early, so I'm not sure whether they're just playing a bit of a waiting game. Like you said, Lee, conserving a bit of equipment and ready for the rush at the end, because I tell you what, the last stint is going to be for young and old.
Just quickly before you go, because we know that you have to head back down, Dean Holland of Richmond in New South Wales wants to know, Russell, do you think this should be a part of the championship or a standalone race?
Depends how he does today.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I mean, to be quite honest, I always was the opinion when it first was a part of the championship it would be a good idea, but then I went back the other way. But for commercial reasons, and Tony Cochran from Invesco explained exactly why Bathurst has to be part of the championship, and it is purely commercial to give the championship sponsor great value for money for the year, and that's why it is part of the championship.
Oh, the Larkham Gardner Falcon is up against the wall.
Yeah, having a terrible day. They're a long, long, long way down the order. But now they're stranded there at the forward cutting. And you can see the marshal there trying to see if they can get the driver out. What they plan to do, but this could be a safety car, another safety car period.
This will bunch them back up again. We'll wait and get confirmation of that as they sit there at the forward cutting. We've done a very quick driver change up here in the commentary box as well, and while we watch nothing happening absolutely there, Russell Ingall is headed back down to the Castrol pit, and we welcome Kmart driver Greg Murphy, who is currently in your team, and your co-driver is in second position. It's been a great race for you guys this day, Greg.
Yeah, so far so good, mate. It's I tell you what, it's going to come down. The last 10 laps are going to be unbelievable, I reckon. There's a lot of fast cars out there. Richo's flying along at the moment, and Todd's ahead of him, so hopefully it'll stay like that.
You've won this race twice, once with Craig Lowndes, once with Stephen Richards. How does this one rate for you?
This one is, it's been the most competitive by far. I mean, we've been dicing at the front all day long. The car, I got to say, is working unbelievably well. We've just sort of haven't been pushing it overly hard, just pushing it to the point to keep in front or at the front. And so far it's been working really well. But I'm just looking at the leaderboard as Larko.
Right.
Got a puncture big time.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Didn't hit too hard.
That's right. Better luck for Larkham. Just have another look at that from another angle.
There's nothing you can do about that.
Safety car is on the circuit as we expected, so yet another safety car period. Murph, I was going to ask, with the increased pace, they're just running at such a hot pace. How's the brake pad wear been? Is it more than you thought?
Well, we really, in the first couple of stints, were conserving them quite heavily, and just basically getting off the juice early, and then sort of coasting up probably 30-40 metres, whatever, and then getting on the brakes. So you lost a bit of speed just through rolling, and so our brakes are in really good shape at the moment.
Well, down here with Wayne, with Mark Larkham. Wayne is in the car at the moment. Mark, have you heard from him, and what's the story?
Yeah, it appears something's broken on the right-hand side there, or a flat tyre or something, and it's unfortunately put Wayne into the wall. I would suspect it's because I tagged the wall down there when the hailstorm happened, and probably a result of that has now put Wayne out. So, unfortunate.
It's been an incredible day, hasn't it?
Well, it's been an incredible year. Roll on 2002, I say.
They were just outside the top 10 when that happened, and considering the tough weekend they've had, not bad going for the Karcher Deco Rug Falcon.
I would imagine you'll see maybe Brighton Bargwana come in. There's Brighty in the pits. I think he's coming in now, so it's pretty fortuitous for him to get another safety car to be able to pit, because he'll be right in the pack there and right back in the race too.
Well, that gets him back into sequence. We're just looking at the stops. You know, they pitted on 87, so they were a bit marginal on fuel, but now this will get them right back into the game.
Yeah, this has been good for them.
Yep.
Fuel spilling out there. It's time for the number 2 machine to go.
It's just pouring out of the overflow on the dry brake system. Hopefully for them anyway.
Yeah. Thomas Mazira back in the car. Thomas has driven very well, Greg.
Yeah, well, I mean, both Tony Longhurst and Thomas have driven unbelievably well, and I think that's testament to the fact that they have been doing a fair few miles this year, and proves that their knowledge of the circuit is pretty good too. So HOT got a couple of good co-drivers there.
How is the level of competition between the Kmart team and the HRT squad?
Well, I mean, definitely the rules are do not touch each other, but other than that, you know, it's just we're out there to do our jobs and for our sponsors, so we are very separate. But obviously, as a TWR team, we don't want to be knocking each other off, otherwise the boss will be pretty angry with us.
Something going on here.
I think there's something. They broke a steering arm earlier on when Dumbrell turned him around, and I think that must be still something to do with that.
While they carry on behind the pace car, and the number 15 machine, the Kmart Commodore, is right up hard against that safety car. We've got Greg Murphy in the commentary box, and we'll be back to Mount Panorama right after this. We hope you're enjoying the action. This is the 2001 V8 Supercar 1. While we're under the safety car, a quick look at how you can interact with all of 10's motorsport coverage. V8Supercar.com.au is the website for all your information on this series, which is far from over, even after today's 540-point haul. And DreamDrive.tv. Talk about interactive. You could run your own team on that website and see how you go. A lot of difficult choices to be made today on the mountain already, and some still to come as we pass 110 of 161 laps. The safety car period continues, and the new race leader is Todd Kelly in the number 15 Kmart Commodore. We have his co-driver in the commentary box with us, Greg Murphy. Greg, no doubt you'll be stepping back in soon.
Yeah, he's probably got, depending on pace cars and all that kind of thing, we've got to obviously complement his amount of laps, so he's got to do 54 or something minimum, and obviously we'll leave him in as long as we can to the fuel, and then obviously the shorter the stop, the last stop, the better.
How well has Todd Kelly come on, particularly in the last 18 months? It's phenomenal.
Mate, this year we've just flicked a switch.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, I mean, he's driven unbelievably well this year and made very few mistakes, but he's been caught up in a lot of other people's rubbish.
Yeah.
And it's been very unfortunate because he keeps bouncing up in the championship, then having a shocker and coming back in it. 9 times out of 10, he hasn't had anything to do with it except being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So he's doing really good.
What were you doing as a 21-year-old?
Mate, I was wishing and wanting and scraping and bowing.
You can get locked up for.
Yeah, I don't want to go into that. But I was dreaming of doing what he's doing. So Todd's only 21. He's got a big future ahead. And
his brother.
And Rick, Rick's first Bathurst in a V8 Supercar too.
Don't forget the emails, www.rpmlive.tv, if you'd like to talk to Kmart Racing's Greg Murphy, a 2-time race winner here at Bathurst. We're not going to have him up here for very long, so jump on the net real quick and send us your emails. And if you'd like to ask whatever to Greg Murphy, and hopefully we'll be able to answer your email.
Well, there's still a few survivors out there, and one of them is the Castrol Ford of Andrew Harris and Michael Simpson, 2 of the leading contenders in the Konica series. For the more budget-funded teams, a tremendous initiative by Avesco to develop a feeder series for teams running on the East Coast, a limited 6-round program. And isn't it great, Murph, to see so many drivers coming out of the Konica Series into the Shell Championship drives, particularly at Bathurst? That shows that the feeder system is working.
Absolutely. But, you know, we've got a smaller field this year, and it's very, very quality. I mean,
Made a difference.
Oh, huge difference. And it really is amazing on how good all these guys are doing.
Well, we've already got a couple of emails coming in. Greg Murphy will answer those right after the break as they continue to snake around this 6.2 kilometre circuit. Join us on your home of motorsport right after this.
20 cars just left the circuit. We're underway again, and Todd Kelly leads the V8 Supercar 1000 again. There have been so many lead changes, more than 15, in fact, over 112 laps that have just ticked over. Richard second, that's Stephen, of course. Jason Bargwanna in third, ahead of Longhurst, Ritter, Perkins, Cleland, Mazira, Jim Richards, and Jeff Brabham, making up the top 10.
Lead change. Stephen Richards now takes the lead yet again in the FCR AU XR8. That was a very impressive manoeuvre right around the outside.
Sure was.
I wasn't very happy about it.
Greg Murphy is our co-commentator, and he's sharing that Kmart Commodore that's been at the front or near the front all day, well in contention for a victory here. Nervously watching on at his teammate Todd Kelly.
Don't know what Richo's thinking. It's like, didn't he know it was my car? He shouldn't have passed me.
Kiwi doesn't run that long. Over the McPhillamy Park, down the field, getting back up to full speed. You can see the green flags waving. And Todd Kelly just lost that position to Stephen Richards, charging hard at the FTR Falcon, rising to the top of the bubble now as one of the strongest Fords in the field.
Ever the marketing man, Gary Rogers has just taken off about 4 layers of clothing to look after the sponsor down here, but you're not taking off the boonie, are you?
No way, Gregory, it's freezing, bloody freezing.
What about this race?
Very, very interesting race, and it's not over yet, as you can see, as we're speaking now. The rain's starting to come again, and look, anything is going to happen here in these next 40-odd laps.
It's been so amazing, hasn't it? Because you guys earlier today came in, you were one of the first to go to wet weather tyres. It was a gamble at that time, which didn't pay off, but now it's a bit of a different story.
Yes, I made a bad call, to be quite honest, because it's turned out we're back in there. And I think going by what's appearing in the sky here, I think the same sort of decision might have to be made.
Fingers crossed. You're always in good contact with the man upstairs, aren't you?
Oh, my word, and I thank you very much. And I'll thank you more if he gets us over the line this time.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Greg.
Top 10 cars are on the lead lap. This has been an amazing race, and as Gary Rogers said, it is far from over. The weather conditions have been so unpredictable. And Greg Murphy, as we watch here a challenge from the Castrol Commodore, we've got an email from Matt Bender from Higgins in the ACT. What's it like when it's raining up top but not down below?
Bloody scary. Before, when the hail came down, it was just treacherous as, and you just don't know how fast you can go, and especially when you're on slick. So you've just got to play it your way and do what feels best. But it's obviously when it's dry, you've got to go as fast as you possibly can, and then when it's wet, you've got to really be very, very careful.
Greg Ritter charges through on the inside of Jason Bargwanna, so Ritter now goes to third place, charging hard in the sole remaining Shell Helix Falcon. So Stephen Richards leading this one for FTR. Then it's Todd Kelly in the Kmart machine. Ritter just takes over third place from Bargwanna. Barg's back to fourth. Tony Longhurst in fifth. Then it's Perkins, Cleland, Mazira, Jim Richards and Jeff Brabham.
We thank you very much, Greg Murphy, for coming on up, and we wish you the best for the rest of this race.
Thanks, mate, and I'd just like to say hi to everyone back home in New Zealand and the family, and hopefully they're enjoying this race, and we'll see them on the podium at the end.
I'm sure they are. Thanks, Murph.
Thanks, mate.
Best of luck. Greg Murphy really in contention for this one. Look at these great shots from aboard the Castrol Commodore. Riding with Larry Perkins, the veteran, 6 times winner of the Mountain Classic. He wants a 7, and he's well in contention this afternoon. This is going to be one heck of a finish. Imagine how close it's going to be if there's this many cars surviving at the end.
10 cars on the lead lap. It is extraordinary. This is one of the best finishes, if not the best finish we've seen. We're still a long way to go, but it's just been an amazing day's racing on the mountain. Let's listen to Larry down Conrod.
Listen to the roar of that Chevrolet V8 as Larry Perkins closes in on the back of Tony Longhurst. Car 1 contention for the championship. So is his co-driver Russell Ingall. There's a massive amount of points on offer here. Not only competing for the Mount Panorama crown, but also to stay in contention for the Shell Championship Series. Enormous pressure for these drivers and crews.
And if Larry can do anything to help his teammate, he will. Now, here's a special camera shot. Watch this. We're going to zoom in to that Motec onboard system down onto the panel. Watching Larry hard at work.
Stephen Richards, he's just done a really quick one, a 2:11.83 for the race leader, 2:11.94, and just joining us in commentary is Mark Larkin. Mark, maybe you could explain what Larry's looking at on the dash there.
Well, one thing he's certainly not looking at is the speed, because it would frighten the hell out of him. One of the things, no, primarily be looking at the RPMs, and really the great thing about that Motec there is that you don't have to actually focus on it like a gauge. What you really do is focus on the road, and there's alarm lights there. If there's a problem, you can then look at the computer screen and know what the problem is.
Talk us around it, Mark. Talk us around the various things on the screen.
Well, on the left-hand side there, obviously does have wheel speed up. On the right-hand side will be his lap time, or predicted lap time by the look of that. On the bottom, I'm not sure what Larry's got there. He's got EX. I'm not sure what. He's probably up to some sort of trick there. Might be exterminate. Might be something to do with the guy in front of him.
Just goes to show how many different maps there are for these dashboards, Mark. The driver can look at a whole lot of different information, can't he?
You'll have a button on the steering wheel called pages, and you can scroll through probably half a dozen pages, and each page has probably 20 parameters.
The great thing is with the lights, and that you don't have to watch the rev counter anymore, and just you know, the sort of white, red.
Mark Warner's under pressure. Tony Longhurst pulls out of the draft and goes straight past the Gary Rogers Valvoline Commodore. So Longhurst moves up one position higher. He has driven brilliantly today. So too his teammate Thomas Mazira. The two older drivers in their, certainly Tony's 44 years of age, but proving that's got nothing to do with it. Boy, he's driven well. The two Enduros at the Queensland 500 and really revelling in the conditions here at Mount Panorama. Bargwana has got a real battle on his hands.
Stephen Richards is pushing hard. Look at 2:11.95 for the race leader. Kelly's gone underneath that at 2:11.6, 2:11.5 for Greg Ritter. How fast is this at this length of the race? What, 115 laps gone, Larko? Can you believe the pace?
Yeah, I would have thought maybe 12, but that is a hot pace at this time. And I tell you, the last 20 laps, I mean, it's going to get hard, that last driving stint. These guys are going to be dehydrated. It's been a tough day out there, and if this pace maintains, it's going to be hard.
Bargwana under attack from the Castrol Commodore. Larry sneaks up the inside, so Bargs drops another position, and he just gives him a bit of a love tap as he goes through.
So Perkins up to 5, Bargwana back to 6, Cleland's a little further back down the road, then Mazira, then Jeff Brabham, and the rounding out the top 10 is Jim Richards in the second of the FTR Falcons. His son is 9 positions higher up the road, further up the road, leading the way in the number 5 machine. How must Glenn Seaton be feeling now? He has never won at Bathurst. This is pressure cooker time.
Well, Mazira's just past Cleland, so both Holden Racing Team Commodores moving up. Isn't Stephen Richards a good operator around Mount Panorama, Mark? It's just amazing up here.
He is, mate. It's, if Steve takes this one away, I mean, that's 3 times in recent years. That's a big, big effort. But again, as I say, it's going to be hard. These guys are racing probably harder than you normally would, but we all know that this last pace car that comes, and I'm sure it will be the one where you really start to fight for position. Yeah. That's after that the true race is on.
Well, Stephen Richards is throwing down the gauntlet. He's punching out laps in the 2-minute 11-second zone. 29-year-old from Auckland in New Zealand, who's down in Melbourne with his wife Angela and the 2 kids. And he's had an amazingly successful career for a man who's still under 30 years of age. 2 times Bathurst winner, Australian Formula 4 champion back in 1994. He also did a stint in the UK in the British Touring Car Championship Nissan squad. He's a guy with an enormous amount of experience. He comes from an engineering background, so he really understands the car as well. Enormously talented and useful driver to have on any team.
And if he should take this race away, not only would it be Glenn Seaton's first, but it would be Stephen's 3rd in 4 years.
Wow, that's amazing. That's not just luck, is it?
Well, he's certainly following in the footsteps of his father Jim, who has won 6 Bathurst races.
They've got a long way to go though, chaps. 117 of 161. There's an awful lot of racing left here. And as Mark Larkin pointed out, it's going to be that sprint to the flag that's going to determine the winner here. Seaton and Richards, though, in control just over a second. In front of Kelly and Murphy. Ritter and McLean. Skate Longhurst up in the top 5 with Ingle and Perkins. Tander and Bargwana still in there. Brighton, Mazira, Jones and Clellum.
The Shell Helix race score updates you on those positions, and you can see the top 10 on the lead lap. Wheel and Lay, the next one's just 1 lap down. Keep sending those emails in. www.rpmlive.tv. Send a question to Larko. Mark Larkham, he's out of the race, but he'd love to answer your questions. Be back.
1,000 race updates brought to you by Vodafone.
18 lead changes so far after 118 laps, and this is one of them. Murphy taken by Scaife. Missed a gear on that corner, actually, the left-hander, and allowed the championship leader through. Murphy took the lead back a couple of laps later. This has been pretty much the story of the V8 Supercar 1000 if you've just joined us, not to mention the crashes and the rain periodically. Scaife found himself under siege later, overtaken by Jones, then Russell Ingle as well, and all these cars that you're looking at now are going exceptionally well. The top teams choosing to pit. Safety car came out a couple of times. That front end damage there to Larry and Russell's car, not so bad. Crompton with a stop-go penalty for a stray brake pad in pit lane. There have been a few stop-go penalties today for minor infringements. Team Kiwi, after getting the car to the line, rebuilding it, beached it at Cougar Corner, and this is where the latest safety car came out, or why the latest safety car came out, and why Mark Larkham, incidentally, is our co-commentator. A puncture at Ford Cutting.
I need a battery.
This is the race-leading car, Stephen Richards, car 5, co-driver with Glenn Seaton, and they have had a real up-and-down day. Seaton dropped back as far as 14th position in the opening stages, and they've clawed their way back. Quite a remarkable day, and a very impressive run from Stephen Richards. Just repeating, as we go into this next stint, there are 10 cars on the lead lap, and just 42 laps to go.
Doesn't this guy know how to operate around this place? Stephen Richards, phenomenal driver, teamed up with Glenn Seaton, and they're a class act at the moment. This brand new FTR Ford, with the fact that they've turned up with a brand new car, smack the difference at Bathurst. Here's problems here for the Castrol Ford. We're going to have a safety car out here, and we're going to bunch the field up once again. He's well and truly smacked the concrete wall. Look at the damage on the front of the car. Harris and Simpson, one of the sole surviving cars from the Konica entries. And he's really got some damage there.
Greg?
Well, Glenn Seaton, this has been an incredible race, but at the moment things are looking good.
They are looking good, but I've been this far too before, Greg, and there's still a long way to go. But no, the car's circulating good. We feel very confident, and Steve's doing a great job.
Just had a word to crew chief Ivan Taylor while I was waiting to have a chat to you. The way he's talking, you will be able to go to the next stop, and that should take you through to the flag. There'll be no need for a splash.
That's right, exactly right. That's what we've been working on all day. That's why we didn't pit under the pace car back at lap 63, I think it was, 62. So we always knew that we'd take this gamble, and it's paid off.
Car 6 is doing a good job as well, but I know Ivan has asked the officials to have a look at some slower cars on the road in front of Jimmy at the moment so that they don't get balked.
Yeah, naturally, the slower cars do hold you up quite a bit of time, especially when you're trying to race. So, anyway, we'll see what happens.
Hey, now listen, before we go, show us those fingers in the pockets. Are they crossed? Good on you. Best of luck.
Everything crossed. So that's the idea behind the people were asking why Glenn didn't come in on that safety car. They're sticking to a very strict strategy in terms of when they come in and refuel. They're looking strong at the moment. I don't think anyone's going to be able to take advantage of this safety car period because they're still too far away. We've got about 42 laps to go. That's still a refueling window.
That's the Craig Harris car, and that is a very, very solid contact. That's one of the downsides of the mountain. We've just had an email in from Rowena Hart of Bundaberg in Queensland to Mark Larkham. What's the most if that's one of the downsides, Mark, what's the most spectacular thing about Bathurst?
I guess aside from spending time with you guys up here in the commentary box, it would have to be right there, I'd say. Entering that corner, Caltex chased it around, getting close to 300 k's is certainly the most spectacular part of Bathurst to me.
Stephen Richards trying to catch up to the safety car. Leading this one, Todd Kelly in second, Greg Ritter in third. Just be amazed to see people are trying to slap contracts on Greg Ritter. Man, he's just been in obscurity since he won the Formula Ford title.
His own safety car.
Been snapped up by a leading team and been able to show what he can really do.
I said to him at the Queensland 500, I said, oh, great to see you again, Greg. You know, what's been happening? What are you doing Monday to Friday? Because he's a plasterer by trade. And he said, oh, I'm just doing bits and bobs. I'm doing some plastering. I'm helping my brother Michael Ritter, who prepares Formula Fords. He said, I'm just doing whatever, you know, past the time go by. Dick Johnson's given him a call, said, how would you like to drive in the 2 end-of-year Enduros? And he has done nothing but solidly impress. Another email for you, Mark Larkham, from Samantha Brooking of Cairns in Queensland. If you could have any co-driver, past or present, who would it be?
Oh, gee, you've put me on the spot there, I guess. Looking at present form out there, you'd have to say Richo to do well for a co-driver today, wouldn't he? He's all round. I mean, having said that, though, Wayne Gardner's done a great job for us this weekend. But I think Richo's going to be a lot like his old man. He's just going to be an all-round good operator.
What about one of the legends, Brock, Johnson, Moffat?
Well, I'm a Dick fan from way back, you know, and hard to go past Dick here, isn't it?
Sure. Your last opportunity to enter the Ford Banner competition. Here it is. Shut at 3:30 Eastern. That's in just under 15 minutes' time. 3:30 Eastern, the phone lines close.
Cameron McLean, you're with Greg Ritter, and what a sensational position. Can you believe your job today?
Oh, we've made mistakes earlier with the wet weather tyres. We stuck them on we didn't need to, and we clawed our way back, and we're running third, and we're running third quite easily. So, it's good, and it's the business end of the deal now, and we've got as good a chance as anyone as winning this race, and that's what we're planning on doing. We're not coming here to muck around and come second or third.
Look at the times that Greg's doing in the car, and they're quite remarkable considering that he's not a regular driver.
No, he hasn't done a lot of laps during the year, but he's done a lot of testing with these guys, and he raced at Willowbank. We did a few days before this weekend, and he's done a lot of laps here. And, yeah, he's just got a bit of talent, and we'll pull it off hopefully by the end of the day. And his times are good, my times are good, and we'll fix him up come lap 161, I hope.
Yeah, what about your chances from here on in? We've got a safety car period. It's going to close it all up again.
It'll close it up, but I think a lot of the guys are going to have to stop at about somewhere between 125 and 130, and it's going to open it all up again. And so a lot of the other guys will jump back in, and we're going to see what happens.
Normally you run your own car, but now, of course, you're with the Shell team. How good does it feel to be in third position?
Oh, it's good, mate. Like, it's the right end of the day to be in third position too. You know, being in third on lap 10's no good, but lap 120 plus, that's where it's all going to happen and where the race unfolds. So we're delighted, but it's not over yet. You know, 41 laps is a long, long way around here.
You're both doing a stunning job. Well done.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And while we're putting all those wraps on Greg Ritter, yes, it's important not to forget the incredible effort by Cameron McLean. He's one of the fastest drivers in the V8 Supercar category. He's sort of been held back with a low-budget team and court action and all sorts of dramas this year, but you give him a good car and he's as fast as anyone. So McLean and Ritter have been the stars of the Shell team today.
Cameron's done 5 Bathursts. That includes 2 Super Touring Bathursts and 3 V8 Bathursts, and his best result came last year when he finished 4th in the Shell Helix team with Stephen Johnson. So he and Greg Ritter are currently in a position 1 better than that. How do you play it when you're in a top 3 position, Mark Larkham, with exactly 40 laps to go?
Well, what you're going to see here, I'm sure, is Richo in particular. I think these guys are going to have to try and bolt to just get 1, 2, 3 seconds gap, because the next round of pit stops are going to be nothing short of intense. All day you say to your guys, take it a little easier, you know, don't go over the top. An extra second here, there's not going to make a difference. Now it's going to make a hell of a difference.
Alan Heath and Dale Breed, one of the teams running in the Konica Series this year. As a result of their efforts in that series, they were given a start at Mount Panorama. And it's great to see Alan and Dale still on the circuit. Some problems have befallen a lot of the guys, particularly the back markers today, but they're still powering on. That's great to see.
There's been a fair rate of attrition. There's been quite a few accidents, and mainly weather-induced, that's for sure. We were talking about in the days leading up to this, if weather remained fine, just how tough the race would have been. But it's been tough enough with the mixed weather conditions, the grueling nature of this circuit, the new surface, the increased lap times, or rather decreased lap times, I should say, the increased pace. There's been a lot to talk about today.
Christian de Gostin and Phillips Skyfleet running in the RPM International entry under Terry Steer's directions. Good to see them still out there and being competitive. Dean Canto drove for Terry Steer's team to win the initial or inaugural Konica series last year. And sure he's obviously put together a good, strong car because they're still out there and still circulating.
Whilst we're looking at a few of the cars further back in the field, I want to make mention of a few cars outside the top 10. Rick Bates and Cameron McConville have done a very impressive job. They're currently in 11th. The sister Lansvale car, Steve Reed, Trevor Ashby is 12th. Owen Kelly and Paul Romano, the car looks like a Demolition Derby car. It's in 13th. They've done a very good job. Paul Wheel and Tim Lay, whilst being in the top 10, they're in 14th. Paul Morris 15th. Alan Jones and Anthony Tratt recovering after being the victims of that collision with Simon Wills. They were certainly on the losing end. They didn't instigate that. They're back in 16th position. So there's quite a few good performances just outside the top 10. So still under safety car period. As they wind their way around, the clock ticks down. And remember, this is a 1,000-kilometre race or a finishing time of 5:45 p.m. Eastern. Neil Crompton, can you hear us? We're going to try and cross to Neil Crompton in the Gibson Motorsport Falcon. They've had a testing all day, that's for sure. Neil Crompton, it's Lee Diffie. Can you hear me? We've had luck in some parts of the circuit. Here's Neil inside the brand new AUX R8. Hi, Neil, it's Lee Diffie. Can you hear me?
Yes, Lee, I can hear you loud and clear.
That's good. How's things out there?
Oh, it's a fairly quiet afternoon out here at the moment. Just cruising around, trying to mind my own business.
You're currently in 18th position. Simon Wills, Alan Jones, a little further up the road. How high do you think you can get, mate? Laps running out, just 40 to go.
Sorry, mate, you're just breaking up a little bit for me there, but I think you said how high can I get? I don't really know. I think the last time Oscar told me we were back in P20, which is not too flash, but you just got to press on. One of the things I'm trying to do is just maintain the pace without upsetting other people's races. As you all well know up there, we've seen some people that are a lap or two down affect the outcome of the motor race before, so I'm not going to be one of those fools.
Must be frustrating, Neil. It's Marco here. How are you?
Say again, mate.
Can you hear us? It's Mark.
Yeah, I can. Very loud, noisy. Who's doing the audio, Kenny?
Neil, it's Mark Osler. How are you going?
Oh, g'day, Mark. I'm well, thank you.
Mate, it must be so frustrating for you to turn up here with such a beautiful car and then have this happen to you.
Oh, well, it is, but it is sport, Mark, and that's all you can really put it down to. There's no point getting all bitter and twisted. I just want to keep on working hard to earn a spot back in this series again, make sure that I can come back here and have a chance to try and win this thing at some stage, and it will happen one day.
Hey, Neil, it's Lee Diffie again. Tell us about that new steering wheel. What's it like?
It's great, except if you need to use it up here. No, it's actually quite a good thing because I can see all the instrumentation right in front of me there, so you get an unimpeded view of what's going on, and unlike Scapey's mind doesn't move, I can see what's happening.
We just got an image of Craig getting ready to jump back in the car. You're coming in quite soon, I imagine.
Not quite sure what your question was. I think you said Craig's going to jump back in the car soon. If that's what the question was, yes, that's going to happen shortly. We're getting towards the bottom of this tank load. I expect it will be in sometime in the next couple of laps, but I'm watching the weather over here at the moment.
Best of luck for the rest of the race, mate, and we'll see you later on.
I'm not quite sure whether you can still hear me, but the weather over there looks pretty dodgy, so we're just keeping an eye on that at the moment.
Okay, we'll let you go. Thanks, Cromley.
No worries. I'll look forward to seeing you all soon.
Okay.
Hope you're having a good day.
Having a better day than Gibson Motorsport. What a disappointment. I mean, he does say, yeah, it's just sport, but they leapfrogged the field. They found themselves in the lead. And for all that to go wrong, caught out by the free conditions, but I suppose that's the nature of this place.
I think we're going to have rain again. It's got very, very dark up there on the mountain.
It's getting cold as well.
As they come down, the lights on the pace car have been switched off. We are about to go green again. Stephen Ellery in the Super Cheap Autos car. In fact, sorry, it's Jeff Brabham. What a performance from these two guys. Jeff, who is, we were ribbing him about it yesterday, he's nearing his 50th birthday. He's such a relaxed guy at the moment, the thumbs up, really enjoying himself. He's spending a lot of time with his wife Rosina and son Matthew. He's teaching Matthew how to go-kart at the moment. He's getting his son into racing and said it was his idea to get involved, not Jeff's. So he's really going well. And this guy has done some amazing things. Winston Cup Racing, Indianapolis, IROC, IMSA Sports Cars. Just the most talented and well-credentialed guy 91 IndyCar starts. I mean, the list goes on of his international achievements, and he's so laid back about it. He doesn't push his own wheelbarrow. He just gets on with it. He's really been enjoying racing with Steve Ellery. It's time to go green. The pace car pulls off, and we are going again. This is green. The V8 Supercar 1000 is back under race conditions.
Look at him go. Full speed ahead now for Stephen Richards. He really has been setting the pace in that last sector before the safety car. Flying in the new FDR Ford. Todd Kelly still in second. Then it's Greg Ritter doing a great job in the Shell Ford. Tony Longhurst, Larry Perkins, Jason Barguana. Look at the field as they fly up Mountain Straight once again, getting back to full race speed. We go to the chopper shot. Todd Kelly challenges under brakes to our race leader. Look at Greg Ritter getting a sniff of the lead in this Shell Ford.
Very impressive driving by Greg Ritter. He is in the most pressurised situation of his very short V8 Supercar career, that's for sure. Look who he's got behind. He's got Tony Longhurst, a former Bathurst winner, and a man who is steeped in Supercar history right on his hammer behind him. He's got Larry Perkins, a 6-time champion. He's sandwiched in amongst stars, and he's holding his own.
Down through Reed Park. Just see the puff of smoke there. I've watched that on the Castrol car a number of times during the day. It seems that when he drops down into the dip there, the car gets so loaded up the tyres actually rub on the guards, I think.
Just in that place first every lap.
Just goes to show how torturous this track is. There's a bit of a oil mist or something coming out of the back of the Castrol car. We'll keep an eye on that. There's a bit of an oil film there. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. Might just be a little bit of excess oil.
Bluey, didn't it?
Keep an eye on that one.
Tense situation, Mark Larkham.
It is, mate. I'm really looking forward to this next round of pit stops, which is probably, what, 7 or 8 laps away. And I think once they're out of the way, this is just a sprint race. Nothing more, nothing less.
Absolutely. Look at the speed of this FTR Falcon. It's been fast all week. From the moment they dropped it on the ground, Glenn's gone public in the specialist press saying he's never had such a fantastic car, so responsive to changes and so fast. Looks like they've done a terrific job on it so far. It's got to last the distance, though. 161 laps, a long way around Mount Panorama.
Well, we're getting reports from the pit lane that Garth Tander is jumping up and down and almost shadow boxing, just getting himself revved up. There he is, the lanky lad from Western Australia. He now lives in Melbourne and raring to go. The defending champion, Jason Barguana, will hand the car over. Here he comes. Top of your screen, Barguana has done what he has been asked to do. And now it's time for Tander to take over the number 34 Valvoline Cummins Commodore and take this baby home.
Hopefully it's a nice quick stop. This is going to put them out of sequence because there's going to be a whole lot of rash of cars coming in about 6 or 7 laps time, I'd imagine. So he'll be able to leapfrog them if there's no safety car situation.
I can tell you guys, I was on the end of some of that shadow boxing from Garth Tander as he came out. He's all pumped up about this final stint. Jason Barguana is out. A little bit of a drama for Garth getting away here. Now they've gone for slicks. They've gone for slicks, but it's a little sort of wet looking up above. We've got Jason Barguana with us. Give us your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, mate, we were trying to hang out for another lap. We would have made it, hopefully it'll make the end on one more stop now. Well, that's the last stop, so
you're concerned about economy?
Good, but yeah, wait and see.
You're concerned about the economy then?
Oh, look, you know, you've got to do everything you can. Every lap counts, and we're right on the edge, and who knows? I mean, it's going to be very close, but I think we can get there.
You know how tough it was to win last year. What was it like? What's it been like this year?
Yeah, it's pretty hard. We were trying to. I was trying to short shift that last part of that session, trying to conserve fuel as much as possible to try and make it so we can do only that one more stop. So lap times weren't quite there. Lost a bit in the straight line, but yeah, we're right there, and hopefully we can be there right at the end.
Thanks, Jason. Couple of sprinkles in pit lane, guys.
Yeah, we see the windscreen wipers going on top of the mountain, Greg. Everyone's on slick tyres.
If they filled up then, Mark, could they get to the end if there was no pace car?
No, I don't think so. But what they'd be hoping for, one or two things, another pace car. Exactly what's happening now is wet, and I think that'll tip them over the edge. They should make it if this is wet.
It's raining, of course. The reason why that is, the cars slow down. They get better fuel economy. There's all sorts of things being thrown at these drivers and teams. Just mind-numbing stuff.
As long as they haven't changed, Garth didn't change at the wrong time again. I mean, before, didn't they? They were wets on, and now they've gone out with slicks on. It could absolutely precipitate down, couldn't it?
Larry Perkins has got past Tony Longhurst. Perkins moves up into fourth. I was talking to Larry at length a couple of days ago, and can you believe it? He said, I'm happy to hang up my helmet next year if I can find a suitable replacement. He said, I've been unable to find a suitable replacement. He said, I'm just about at the end of it. He said, I've kind of had enough. I've had a bit of an unlucky year. That's not to say he won't be back at the mountain, but I think as a regular Shell Series competitor, he said he's just about had enough. He'll go around again if he can't get anyone good enough to replace him. So there you have it. Some interesting news about Larry Perkins.
Here they come up Mountain Straight. The charge continues. Oh, look at the road getting greasy here. We may have some problems, these cars. You can see the amount of lock they had on the front. The cars severely understeering as they tried to get the nose into the apex of the corner.
This is where it can all come undone. A whole hard day's work and months of preparation. And
cannot explain enough just how difficult this circumstance is here. I mean, 5 k's an hour too quick, you're in the wall, but you don't want to give away anything at this part of the race.
I was saying earlier on, as you come over the crest of the hill at the top there, it could be soaking wet. And by the time you get to find out it is, it's too late.
Well, you saw what happened to Lowndes and I at the elbow there. So.
All of these front runners yet to pit. Stephen Richards, the race leader, will pit. He may hand over to Glenn Seaton, or he could double stint. The next car in the line, Todd Kelly, will pit and hand over to Greg Murphy. Look at Larry Perkins all over Greg Ritter at the back of the pack, and you'd have to say that Ritter could be a contender to take over Larry's drive if Perkins would want him.
Exactly the same thing, actually.
Well, Larry's doing a terrific job. You saw him sneak past Longhurst before, and there's left Longhurst a long way behind now. There's Longhurst just out of view, and here comes Larry Perkins applying the thumb screws to Greg Ritter. Just gets a little bit sideways. This shows how slippery the conditions are. Greg Ritter under enormous pressure here, and this may be what we were talking about earlier in the day. Larry now starting to throw his trump cards on the table, showing the speed of the Castrol Holden when it counts.
Well, the gloves are off now. It is going to be a sprint from this final stop. Look at the front. Here we go. Kelly's back in the lead. Todd Kelly in the Kmart Commodore is back with a clear track ahead. Stephen Richards back in second. Does that mean Richards is about to pit? We'll wait and see. Lap 126 of 161. We are running out of time in the V8 Supercar 1000. Perkins still applying the blowtorch to the back of Greg Ritter, and he's sustaining that pressure.
So you're talking about... we don't talk about parity between Ford and Holden much anymore, Mark Larkin, but looking at the performance of these two makes, you couldn't get it closer than this.
Well, Mark, isn't it a great thing that we don't talk about it?
Oh, fantastic.
What you're looking at here, though, is Larry's years of experience, I think, is really coming to the fore here. And he's
did he go or did...
No, he's all right. He had a bit of a moment exiting that corner, got up on the curb. Larry saw it, ducked to the left, took advantage. So now he's going to be in third place. Larry Perkins, the veteran, he's got his foot down.
You think Larry's old? I don't think Larry's old at all.
That's because you're a similar age.
Six times Bathurst winner. What can he do? 51 years of age. He wants another Bathurst crown, and Larry Perkins is on fire at Mount Panorama this afternoon. There he is.
Larry! Go, Larry!
Got up into second place. Don't go away. There's plenty more to come.